Hey guys, my name is Maria Teresa Solorzano, and in this video I'm going to talk about feminist theory and global film. More specifically, I'm going to analyze the roles women play in 3 movies: And Your Mother 2, 37 Seconds, and The Sky is Pink. So, the video is going to be recording 6 major questions, of which I'm going to answer using the movies I mentioned and the things I found important in each film. Just a quick disclaimer, I in no way own, have made, or am any part of any of these films. I'm just a student taking a film project and analyzing these movies with my own opinions and my opinions only. Jumping into the first question, which film theory did you select and why? I chose the feminist theory because I am personally very passionate about practicing total equality, which also includes race, gender, and sex. I myself identify as a woman and want to acknowledge the empowering films that have been made outside of Hollywood to further promote positive ideologies about women, because frankly, our society is still behind. Now, to segue into the cultural analysis of the film, I will start off with talking about the Japanese Netflix original, 37 Seconds. 37 Seconds is about a sheltered young adult woman with cerebral palsy. She takes the radical self-journey that is self-love, along with exploring her sexuality and finding out what true friendship means along the way. This movie not only shows the hardships of a disabled woman, but that they have the same needs and will go through the same journeys any other able-bodied person will go through. She is battered along the way, and as an artist is exploited of her abilities in return of being able to have her artwork out in the world, but gaining absolutely no recognition for it. Now, regarding the second question, how is feminism integrated in your cultural analysis? Director Hikari uses manga art as an obvious tie to Japanese culture, but also as a tool for main character Yuma to express herself in ways her words won't. We see her comics as an outlet for her humor, masculineness, and sexual curiosity, because she simply has no other person she could ever talk to with. The movie is surrounded by female characters. In fact, it's the entire premise of the film, and Yuma, without having a father figure in her life, has more emotional dependency and trust in women. Even if it's sometimes not the best thing to do, it's all she's ever known. I wanted to pick a variety of films where women are taking different roles. One goal I had is to pick a woman who is a very prominent part of the film but not the focus of it, and for that I chose the Mexican road trip movie And Your Mother 2, a crude drama about 2 teenage best friends, Tenoch and Julio, whose girlfriends went away for the summer, so they are now on the hunt for their next, dare I say, booty call? They invite a beautiful older woman along with them on an adventure to the beach. On the trip, the soon-to-be men are granted desires, but in return learn cruel secrets about each other. The movie is definitely not for kids, but I gotta say it's charming. There's a feeling of nostalgia with wanting to be a kid again and the luxury of carelessness and ignorance, that personal desire of wanting to have trivial problems again. This movie makes the audience think the movie is just about these 2 boys with a vulgar coming-of-age story, but we later find out it wasn't just for the dynamic duo, but for the supporting character Luisa as well. She, in the process, is trying to find herself after being lost in a toxic marriage, and with the help of these 2 young boys, she learned to appreciate the unexpected things in life while she was still living it. The acting is phenomenal, the best I've seen in a long time, and especially keeping in mind Diego Luna and Gal Garcia were just young boys, but their talent shined through the screen brilliantly. The dialogue is culture heavy. In fact, you wouldn't understand the movie at all, even if you were fluent in Spanish, but not in Mexican Spanish. The 2 best friends are from 2 very different social classes, but speak in the exact same slang, and Alfonso Cuarón made the great choice of adding that seemingly minor but extremely substantial detail. Interestingly enough though, Luisa, the supporting character, is not Mexican, she's Spanish in the film, and whenever she is going out with the boys or talking to them, she has to constantly ask, what does this mean? What does this word mean? And she's the one that's seemingly left out. But at the end of the movie, we see she's the one who gained the most from the entire experience. She's the one who left with love and the boys with a bad taste in their mouth. And that just adds to the whole depth Alfonso gave into the film. when going through the barrier of language, even though it's in Spanish, using the different forms of Spanish. What limitations did you find when applying feminism to global films? What I saw is that every culture is different, and even though two of my films are technically from the same continent, they are from two completely different parts. And I was worried of incorporating that into this video, but I thought it further proved the significant variation of cultural stances women have in their countries. I noticed that in some instances in a film, I thought, would this be considered sexist or cultural? There's a gray line between the two, but I noticed that it's 100% of the time up to the person filling the role. And now this is a perfect transition going into my next film, The Sky is Pink. Going back to my goal of finding women in various roles, I wanted to pick one of a woman in the most traditional yet, which is being a mother. The Sky is Pink follows an ill-fated couple when they find out they are pregnant. They had the previous death of a daughter from severe combined immune deficiency, and although they currently have a healthy boy, they face the genetic risk of their next child having it. The film is narrated by Aisha, the daughter they had that was born with the same illness the couple feared, and tells the story of her parents' love and the eventual death of Aisha after developing pulmonary fibrosis. From the beginning of the film, we were made aware that Aisha was going to die as a way of telling us, although we are following her story, it's not the focus. The focus of the film are characters Aditi and Niran and how all these struggles help their marriage be built on a foundation of trust and respect. Priyanka Chopra plays Aditi. The movie heavily expresses how although sacrifices were made that affected both Niran and her, she was the one who was constantly with Aisha. We see the strong attachment Aditi has to Aisha, but not the other way around, to point that it was obvious Aditi needed her daughter more than anything. Director Shonali Bose took an interesting turn on the genre of the film by making this tearjerker a comedy. This movie is similar to the American My Sister's Keeper, but not in the way of how there are many moments of comedic relief to help the audience uplift, despite there being an inevitable tragedy on its way. Women are also a major part in this film, and the strong motherly role is very present. I appreciate how much nurture there is in the movie and how the mother doesn't have to break away from a traditional role to be any more important. Sometimes society forgets the intensity of being a caregiver, a birther, and a wife, and the amount of dependence children have on this figure. You don't have to sacrifice your femininity to gain validity. Did feminism influence the genre conventions as expressed in the films, or did feminism influence the film theory? This is very dependent on the film. In 37 Seconds, feminism is a strong focal point that drives the story. It's about a woman trying to find herself through independence and discovering that she shouldn't be ashamed of herself for being disabled. In And Your Mother Too, it's definitely less eminent. The movie does a great job of adding a female character that expresses sexual freedom and erasing the taboo from it. Quran makes it seem like the boys are the ones taking advantage of Lisa by taking her along with them on vacation to have the possibility of hooking up with her, but we see the shift on how she ended up controlling the entire trip. The power Lisa has over the boys is masked, but then revealed at the end of the film to show the impact she had in their coming of age. On the other hand, The Sky is Pink also has a modern take on the complexities of womanhood, just in a more PG manner. The major differences between these movies is that the ones that had feminism as a major theme were 37 Seconds and The Sky is Pink because they were directed by women. Despite Cuarón being a very credible director, later making Gravity, you can see he had more work to do when trying to separate the main character Luisa from a more sexist role. Another thing is that these two movies are made much more recently, showing a modern story of women, while Y Tu Mamá También was made almost 20 years ago. How did feminism influence the production value of each film? In 37 Seconds, I thought because womanhood was such a driving force of the story, it took many opportunities to create abstract scenes. With this, I mean by setting up low, pink lighting shots to create a very sexy mise-en-scene, only to completely have it clash with the awkward interactions the couple would have, which in my opinion was done very well and something very hard to find in film. A similar thing was done in And Your Mother Too. The audience was presented sex scenes with no drive at all. They were intentionally sloppy with non-sensual and, more interestingly, with bright and hard lighting to provoke the uncomfortable tension between the movie and the audience, which was again something I had never seen in a film. Something I want to point out is that although both these movies have sex as a topic, it is proved to be very obviously not the theme. They're only placed to mask a bigger or darker topic, and I personally don't appreciate when And Your Mother 2 is written off as another rated R teen movie when it in fact has plenty of underlying issues the movie tackles. The Sky is Pink takes the cinematic approach similar to a romantic comedy. Cute, slow motion scenes driven by music and no dialogue, unrealistically nice set designs. Like, look at how nice their apartment is despite them technically being broke, and then quirky costume designs for the characters. All these cinematic elements tie well into the story because when we go back to how I explained feminism in the film, you don't have to sacrifice your femininity to gain validity. In production value, meaning, why can't a traditional romantic comedy be feminist? Bridget Jones' Diary did it and was honestly a movie ahead of its time, but that's for another day. The movies I chose are dramas, but with different interpretations, which The Sky is Pink fully takes advantage of. Look, I'm a lover. I appreciate stuff. I'm not a fighter, and whenever I'm in a position to talk about a movie, I will first off talk about the good, because films aren't easy to make. They take hard work, and you always have to keep in mind, maybe for you it's not the best, but we have such a giant world that the movie you're talking about must be at least one person's favorite. Thank you for staying tuned to, honestly, such a long video, but I covered all 6 of my questions. And as to regarding the final one, how did the film theory illuminate, critique, and or promote the storylines or film narratives expressed in each film, which I actually did in each, can we say, mini review of each of the movies. Thank you so much for your time, and don't forget to watch a movie today.